Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Quilt-Cam. I'm Bonnie Hunter, and you're in my basement studio in Walburg, North Carolina, where tonight I am sewing more. Yes, more string sashings on phone book paper. I need 97. I am somewhere around 80, maybe 85. I just trimmed these ones up this evening. These are from sheets I sewn before I left for Iowa, and I had 5 sheets covered. And these are trimmed now and ready to remove the paper. Why use paper? I had these questions a lot, especially this morning when I posted a really funny picture of 5 phone books, all wrapped in plastic bags, on the ground below the mailboxes, and a rainstorm. We really get drenched here in North Carolina. Thunder, lightning, inches of rain, all within hours. And these phone books, regardless of being in the plastic bag, were pretty wet and yucky, and it's just a shame to see phone books go to waste. Why do I use phone books? Because the paper, number one, it's free, but it's very thin, very crisp, and very easy to remove. So now that I've got my strips cut, I can just easily remove that paper, and the paper comes off super slick as long as you make your stitch length small enough that the paper doesn't have to rip between the holes that the needle makes. So you do really small stitches, like a 1.5 on a digital machine. On my vintage machine, I set that at about 14 to 16 stitches an inch. And then you just remove this paper one strip at a time. It comes off very, very easily. I do leave the paper in when I am trimming, because that helps the piece not be so shifty, helps it lay nice and flat and hold still while I'm cutting the strips that I need. And you notice I didn't even pull on this or really distort it while I was removing the paper. So my sashings now will be paper free, and once the paper is out, it's just like doing any regular patchwork at all. I don't like to leave the paper in my sashings when I sew them into the quilt, because then I have to pick little itty bitty bits of paper out of my seam allowance, and that just drives me crazy. So I would rather risk a little shift and stretch while sewing than have to pick out paper from seam allowance along the way. You may have learned a different way, you may prefer a different way, and that's perfectly just fine. I'm just sharing you the way that I like to work here. Why phone book paper, besides the fact that it's abundantly free? The ink does not come off. I can rub and rub and rub and rub and rub, and the ink does not come off. This is not like newsprint. It's a different kind of paper. It's a different kind of process altogether. I would not use steam in an iron on any kind of printed paper, just because steam and water and paper, they tend to make wallpaper paste. So no steam, but the ink does not come off, even on my white strips. I notice my phone is jingling already, so I'm going to put this down on vibrate. Oh, look, it sent me an announcement for Quilt-Cam tonight. I love that with my phone hooked to my Gmail account. Anything that I do, whether I post a blog or I put up Quilt-Cam, it sends me an announcement to my phone so that I don't forget. If this is your first time at Quilt-Cam, I want to welcome you. We have a lot of fun. What's not to like about getting one more hour of sewing out of our day? For many of us, this might be the first time we've sat at the sewing machine all day long. I know it is my first time today, and it's after 9 p.m. here in North Carolina on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, well, you might be in the middle of dinner, but the episodes of Quilt-Cam are always available in the archives, and you can find those under the Quilt-Cam tab at the top of my blog. The reason I suggest reading and watching from the blog versus just in YouTube, I've got information on the blog page where this feed is embedded that you might need to know. Photos of what's going on, stories of other things that readers have sent in. So there's more content on the blog, and you can always watch it there. Just click the Quilt-Cam tab at the top of the blog. If you want to send me a message today, you can always comment on the post where this feed is embedded. That will show up in my email, or you can email me directly at quiltville@gmail.com. What I can't do is answer any questions or comments that are happening on Instagram or Facebook. It has to come to my email because I'm far enough away from the computer that I can't get to that screen on Facebook to see you, but I can get email on my phone. You can see here, look what's going on in my machine. My leaders and ender tumblers are just going crazy town from cutting to completion here. I've got a few other rows ready to join together. And I am just going to wait until I have a lot of variety built, until I decide which way I'm going to put these together. That way I might miss being able, ending up with the same thing next to the same thing, which is inevitable to happen anyway. But I want to do several lengths of tumblers before I decide to put them together and which one's going to go where. I've kept my tumblers in a plastic shoebox right near where I'm sewing. Today I spent some time cleaning up my cutting table, and anything, I had a lot of strips. Any strips that were shorter than about 6.5 to 8.5 inches, I mean, any really short strips, hunks, chunks, pieces, if I can get a tumbler shape out of whatever scrap that was on my cutting table, I've now got a nice little pile that I'm going to spend some time cutting down. So that's coming along there. And we're going to do some string piecing here. Tell me what you are working on tonight. I'd love to know if you're sewing along with me, whether you're binding a quilt, whether you're loading one in the machine, whether you're just fondling the fabric, whether you're cutting out for something, maybe you're sewing something applique. We'd love to hear it. So give me an email at quiltville@gmail.com. This piece is just large enough to go across. So we're going to do that there. I did put my stitch length down so that this paper will come off very easily. And I am just working down the length of the sheet of paper. Can you even hear that machine? It's so very smooth and quiet. You can probably hear the clank of my treadle pedal more than you can the machine itself. And you know what I forgot to do? Something I love to do when I treadle. Did you know there was an article written that treadling is good exercise? And some guy, and I'll have to find the link because I thought it was really, really funny. Somebody sent it to me this week. Some guy found that treadling was so good that he built this little treadle thing. It's almost like a bicycle thing, but the pedals just go like this. Who wants to sit there and just do this and not sew? Why not just get a treadle machine and sew? What are you going to have to show for if your feet are just doing a thing, but there's no machine? So this Fitbit's going on my shoe. We are already at 10,288 steps today, and I forgot and left this at home after my shower this morning when the hubby and I went to lunch. I remembered, oh shoot, it's on the bathroom counter. So I'm missing at least 1,000 steps there. But I wanted to put it on my shoe, and we'll figure out how many extra steps I can treadle tonight. And if you don't think that treadling is exercise, then you haven't treadled recently. Okay, I've got my iron next to me right here so that I can quickly iron some strips as I go. My strings are never nice and neat. The strings I'm working out of tonight are all neutral, and they're just in this canvas bag. Strings of every width, anything from 3/4 of an inch up to 2 inches. If I don't want to save it as a strip, it will go into my string bag, and I have a lot of fun just building fabric from these little parts. There you go, treadle, go. I start in the center of the paper with 2 pieces right sides together. And then we press that seam to one side, and then the seams just go out towards the outside edge of the paper. So on the left half, they go this way. On the right half, they go this way. And I'm going to cut that tumbler off because it's going to drag me down here. My tumbler rows are about 45 pieces in each row. Okay, so we're going to cut this off. Have you done any string piecing lately? I absolutely love it. It's my absolute favorite thing to do. I love how nice and flat the string piecing lays on top of the paper. The paper keeps things from stretching. This little narrow strip, it may be cut on a straight grain, but I tell you what, it's got a lot of give to it. And when you sew skinny strip to skinny strip without a foundation, you will have something that twists and warps and will not lay flat. I love the stability that the paper gives me. Okay, we're looking for something different in here. Here's a good example of how dark I will go on a neutral background. This one I would definitely say is about as dark as a brown paper bag, but not any darker. That's about as dark as I will go if I am sewing with random neutrals. And I will decide which side and which fabric this looks best with. Here's a short piece I'm cutting off the end. If you have short pieces, save them over to the side, and in between your chain piecing of doing the string piecing, you can join the short bits end to end to end until you have a piece that's big enough to go across the whole page. We don't waste anything, and those little pieced sections add a lot of interest wherever they land. I've got 5 more sheets to cover, and then I think I'll have enough to get this quilt laid out and sewn together. It'll have to wait a week or so, though, because I'm headed to Las Vegas on Thursday. We're going to do a really fun retreat. And from what I hear, ladies are arriving already. Some of them came a couple days early to have more time to play in Las Vegas, to see some shows, to do some shopping. And some of them are coming tomorrow. Some of them will be coming on Thursday along with me. My friend Jill is going to be picking me up at the airport, and I can't wait to see her. We're going to do lunch, and then we are going to party. So the really fun thing, I got caught in a rainstorm today. Can't tell by my hair. I dropped a very special box off to FedEx. I've got a single pattern release coming out in the spring, being published by C&T. And their single patterns are really, really nice. They're not just in a cheapy Ziploc bag. They are in a nice cardstock envelope that's full color, pattern printed photographs front and back. And then it has one of those little string closures. Remember those? You would do the string closure like, I remember those being on my report cards when I was little, that they'd do the string thing that wraps around the 2 cardboard discs. Inside is a booklet, so it's not just a loose pattern pages, it's a whole staple bound booklet inside the cardboard cover. And I've got a quilt being released for spring market, hopefully, if everything goes well. But everything's done, manuscripts sent, images, files sent, everything, all the checklists sent, and the quilt is now on its way to California. So pinky swear, hope with me that things get there easily and quickly and swimmingly, and that there's no big headaches, and that please, please, please let me have written this thing right. So anyway, back to the rain. I got lost there on a tangent. I needed a wedding veil. I know, it sounds really, really funny, but yes, I needed a wedding veil because this retreat is in Las Vegas, and it's mandatory that every retreater show up with a wedding veil because we are having a Vegas wedding party. And it was so funny, and so it was really hard to explain at the Goodwill where I went just why I needed this wedding veil. Because after all, I'm 53, and and I've been married a long time, and a wedding veil. I just said I'm going to a bridal shower, and everybody going is supposed to wear a wedding veil, and they bought that. So ugly veil after ugly veil after ugly veil. I found one that was matched with a dress, and this dress had to be from the 1960s, just by the style. 60s, maybe early 70s, but I really think that we're pushing 60s here. And this veil was the most hideous thing I have ever seen. It was dingy, it was more gray than it was yellow. And I asked the lady, I said, well, would you sell the veil without the dress? And so I got this veil for $7.99, and it's soaking in a bucket of OxyClean right now to see if I can clean it up. But it's gonna be hysterical. My own wedding veil was very, very long, and I really didn't want to take it all the way to Las Vegas for this thing. I just wanted something that I could shove into a suitcase and call good and have fun. But I know that you'll get a big kick out of the photos that we'll be taking, maybe even some videos of while we're on this retreat in Las Vegas. I think it would be a lot of fun. We won't be able to do Quilt-Cam from there, but I'll see what I can do about posting some short videos to YouTube and uploading those to the blog and to Facebook. Okay. So that's an awful lot of talking. We've got 3 strips on here. Let's check the inbox and see who's joining us. I heard lots of jingles going on. We've got one here from Vicki Ward who says, under the needle tonight. She says, I'm working on my last few Sister's Choice blocks and my 4 patches as leaders and enders for the Go For It quilt along. So happy to catch you live. And she sent some photos here. We can see, oh, great photo. So there's her Sister's Choice block. And then she's making 4 patches as leaders and enders in between the lines of sewing these blocks together. I love those blue star points. Those look really great. And isn't it fun to look at people's fabrics and think, oh yeah, that one that you've got, that blue plaid in the center, I've got that. I've had that probably in every colorway it's ever come in. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing. This is from Molly Parrott who says, paper removal. Do you wet the paper to make removal easier? No, I'm not going to wet the paper because there's ink on the paper. The removal is so super simple. I mean, there's nothing to worry about. It just comes off. The whole secret is making your stitch length very small. Very small stitches will put those needle holes very close together, and the paper wants to jump off almost with no encouragement at all. So I just remove 1 strip at a time, and then, you know, if I give a slight tug, it'll release the next section, and you just work your way down the sashing. I don't need to get this wet to have it come off easy. Give it a try. I think you'll like it. Phone book pages, very small stitch. You want it small enough that it's easy to for the paper to come off, but big enough that it doesn't fall off before you want it to. So it's some fine tuning there depending on what thread you use, but about 1.5 is about the right one to do. Okay, no wetting of the paper. It's phone book. It's got ink. No, no, no. Okay, Jan, can't sew yet, she says. We just flew back to Texas from our summer visit to Minnesota. Oh, this is that Jan. Hi, Jan. She says, as you can see, I don't have my sewing room unpacked for the winter, so I'm knitting dishcloths as I'm spending time with you tonight. Can't wait to see your pics from Vegas. And she looks like she is overloaded. Come on, do I not have a rotating photo? Let's see. Screen rotation needs to be on. There we go. So there's Jan in her sewing space, and so she's knitting tonight instead because she winters down in Texas and then visits. Or are you down there full time now, Jan? She's down in the Rio Grande Valley, or as known to Texans, the Valley, and she hails from Minnesota originally. No more freezing cold winters. That's beautiful. I love that quilt on the wall. Beautiful. So this one says, from Elaine, and she says, yay, Quilt-Cam. This is the first time I've sewn with you in real time, but your archives have been my companions for quite a while. I'm glad to hear that. I'm ready to turn my disappearing pinwheels into my leaders and enders because I'd rather do my scrap leader and ender than the pinwheels. Can't decide which arrangement to use. Auditioning this arrangement this week. I'm so happy to hang out with you. And she's sharing a photo of her disappearing pinwheels right there. I like that arrangement. That looks really great. Everything seems to be spread around just right. Sometimes, no matter which arrangement we try, they're all good. So it's like, just pick one and do it and have fun working on your scrap project while you're doing this one. Glad you could tune in tonight. I haven't tried that design yet, but it looks like a lot of fun. Kathy Hopkins says, thank you. Here in Southern Ontario, Canada, I'm a faithful reader of your blog and enjoy all your adventures. I've been quilting now for about 5 years, and I can honestly say it's changed my life. Can't we all say that? I can't imagine my life without a little bit of fabric, a little bit of needle and thread, and a little bit of hanging with quilters every day. She says, most importantly are the people I have met, absolutely, and the friendships created that will certainly last a lifetime. I am an avid user of the scrap user system and encourage everyone to try it. A couple of years ago, I made a Fun with Bricks quilt from your free patterns tab and gifted it to my mother. 2 weeks ago, she passed away. Oh, I'm sorry. Suddenly, due to cancer, we were all devastated and made the journey home to put her to rest. The first thing I saw when I went and entered her bedroom was her quilt on the bed. It gave me great comfort and strength to know she cherished the quilt. It will certainly become a family heirloom for years to come. I just wanted to say thank you for all you do and for your generosity to all of us quilters. And that's from Kathy. And she's sharing a photo of the quilt right here. So this is a quilt called Fun with Bricks. It's under the free patterns tab at the top of the blog. And I think it's a great gift for anyone. There's so much to look at. So, you know, with a scrap quilt, if somebody is healing from surgery, or they've got a long recovery period, or they're going through a grief process, or they're bedridden, or whatever it is, quilts that have a lot of different pieces of fabric and a lot going on give a lot more for the person to look at and to entertain themselves with. I just love this. It's just beautiful the way those squares go on the diagonal. Great job, Kathy. I'm so sorry for your loss, but I'm glad that things are moving on and you're able to remember your mother and you've got your quilt back, and those memories will always be there. This one's from Shutterbug, who says, first time I've been able to watch live. I am working on crowns tonight as I listen, working on an ice cream parlor theme tonight. Thank you for all you do. And she's Kristen in Oklahoma, and she is making crowns. So it looks like, those are so cute. Looks like somebody's having a first birthday. Look at that. It reminds me of the Burger King crowns we used to get going to Burger King, but this one's out of fabric. Super cute. Awesome. Thank you for tuning in, Kristen. Glad to have you with us tonight. Let's sew some more pieces onto this paper. So the big deal last week was my taping with Quilt Maker magazine, and it was really fun, and it was really nerve-wracking and scary and wonderful all at the same time. But let me tell you, I have never had so much makeup on, and there were two different makeup artists. The first day I had one gal, and she did more makeup, less hair. The second gal did less makeup, more hair. And the second day, she was ratting it with the comb, and it's now standing on end, and it's got this poof to it. And I'm like, honey, did you grow up in Texas? Because my hair was giant. So as soon as she packed up and left, I'm like trying to fix my hair so it's not, you know, 3 inches taller than it normally is. You know, this is supposed to be keep it real quilting. This does not look real. But it was a lot of fun. The first episode was the most nerve-wracking, and it's really hard to tell a camera crew, you know, as you're talking just like this. I'm talking to you off the top of my head, no script, no nothing, and you know you say something wrong, and you've got something backwards, or you use the wrong term or the wrong word, and it's going to be on video forever. I mean, like forever, and you have to tell them, can we redo that? Or they tell you, you missed this part, can we redo this? And the more you redo something, the more nervous you get that you're going to screw it up again. It doesn't get better, it gets a little bit worse. So my goal was to relax from the beginning, be thorough, and don't screw up. And still, as did one episode, then another episode, then another episode. We did 6 episodes in 2 days. By the second day, we were pretty well in sync with each other, and we laughed more than we cried, I should say. And it's going to be a really fun thing. So what this is unlike Craftsy. I do want to sew. Can I sew and talk at the same time? I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. On some formats, your workshop lives in the cloud. And you take one workshop at a time for whatever the cost is, and it lives in the cloud forever, and you have to be on the internet to access that. This is a little bit different, and just press this here. My videos are going to be running with, my video course will be running with, I think it's craftuniversityonline.com. And it's a little bit different. It's like registering for a college course, and that college course runs from this date to this date. And from this date to this date, there is a weekly course that you take, and you can take it at any time during that week, and you can download the video during the entire course. You can download each of the 6 videos to your own computer. You can save them. You can put them on a thumb drive. You can put them on you can burn them onto your own DVD. Whatever you want to do, you download those, and then those are yours. And then you can take them on a trip somewhere, sit on the whatever it is, you do not have to be connected to the internet in order to watch these courses. And I think that's a wonderful thing. The different thing is that the course is only going to be available for a limited amount of time. So instead of, well, 6 months from now, I think I might want to take this course, we can't do that. You have to do the course now, in which, okay, you pay for the course and you download the episodes. Once you've downloaded the episodes, you can actually do them or watch them at any time. But it's going to be a limited amount of time that they will be available. So it'll be something you'll want to jump in on if you think it's something that you're interested in. If you're worried about the cost, I know some people commented already on the blog, well, shoot, that's really expensive. It comes out to be about $15 per episode, which is not expensive at all. If you're taking a workshop from me at a quilt shop, at a national show, or an international event, that one workshop will cost you anywhere between $75 and $100, because that's what they charge for that. This is $15 per course, and it's a 6-course series. So really, it's not that expensive. I will be posting a coupon as soon as we get that going. I'll let you know what the dates are. But you know, Christmas will be coming up, and maybe your family doesn't know what you want for Christmas, and you can just tell them, I'd really like to take this video series. And then you get it as a gift, and then we don't worry about what the cost is. So the retail price is going to be right around $129. The coupon is going to give you $30 off, so it will run around $99 for 6 lessons. That's 6 little concise workshops with homework for you to do. So think about it and talk to your hubby about it, or your kids about it. Maybe you've got a birthday, maybe you've got Christmas coming up, and maybe you just decide that you're worth it and it's the only way you'll ever get to take a workshop with me. And I'd be happy to talk you through it. If you have questions, you can always ask me personally if you get stuck. So that's how that's going to run. If you check on craftuniversityonline.com, CraftU for short, you'll see lots of other top name designers and instructors also have workshops going on there all the time, and you might find some other things that you are wanting to do. For a 1-episode course, those classes run as low as $20. For a 6-episode or 7-episode course, it's going to be based on the number of episodes that are in that course. So a course that goes 7 weeks or 8 weeks, of course, is going to be more than one that goes 1 week. And that's just how it is. So it's kind of like signing up for adult ed at your local community college, and it's only for this period of time. School starts on this date, and it goes this many weeks, but you get to keep the entire course when you download it to your computer. I'm going to sew one more strip here. I had a great time doing it. I threw in as many hints, tips, helps, all of the Quiltville stuff that I do, that I had asked people, what would you like to see? What would you like to see? We did webbing the block at least 3 times in 3 different episodes to show how this goes together. We did how to pin to match points. We did making of triangle buddies. We did working with the easy angle ruler and the companion angle ruler in several episodes. We did paper piecing, all kinds of lessons in my course. And all of the blocks are based on blocks found in my Addicted to Scraps column. Of course, the best part for me was the gallery section at the end of each episode, because readers had sent in their quilts made from my block designs to share, and they were all so unique and all so different. It was really fun to have their quilts on set with me so that we could share those. Okay, one more strip. That's a short one. This is a short one. So this is what I'm talking about. If you have 2 short strips, these won't reach across paper. But if I sew them together, they will, and they're about the same width. So I'm just going to add them end to end with a straight seam. And then that'll fit where I want it to go later. This one's big enough. I'm just reaching in and pulling out pieces. One more, then we'll check the email. I can hear buzzies going on my phone. Oh, don't tell me, I'm out of bobbin. Our first out of bobbin experience. I guess that's a good time to stop. Okay, so let's see what's coming in here. We've got Vicky who says, what I'm working on during Quilt-Cam. Oh, that looks so great, Vicky. She says, glad I caught you live. I'm working on cutting 1.5-inch squares for a postage stamp quilt. I'm striving to not have any fabric duplicates. Here are some of my squares sewn together. That looks wonderful. So Vicky, how are you making sure you don't have duplicates? I remember doing something like this when we did the Y2K challenge, and I did little equilateral triangles in a 1,000 pyramids quilt or a 2,000 pyramids quilt. And I think I did end up with some duplicates, but my response was to anybody who said, are there duplicates in here? Was to tell them, if you find one, let me know and I'll pay you $1. Because I wasn't, you know, after that 2,000 different fabrics, it was a little bit nuts. But I really like how you're doing this. So are you setting these together in 4 patches or 9 patches, or you're just laying these babies out? How fun is that? That looks just great. Okay, then we've got, I'm going to go back down here to the bottom because I know I'm missing some. We are missing several of you who are just emailing in like crazy. So here is, this one is from Sandy Grog, who says, been looking forward to Quilt-Cam all day. As you can see, I'm doing 5-inch tumblers and 30s prints. The bricks and stepping stones quilt in Civil War fabrics is for my son. Thanks for taking time to hang out with us, girls. So she's got, come on, baby, turn, baby. She's got tumblers going and her other project going. We just love juggling 2 projects at once, don't we? Wonderful. I love seeing those tumblers, you know, and the tumblers grow so fast, don't they? They really do. The 5-inch ones especially. So this one's from Anita, and she's from Illinois, and she says, it's a calm, quiet night outside of Chicago. It's like, it was a dark and stormy night, and you're waiting for the story to come through. I just watching you this evening and doodling a new quilt design idea, but I was busy earlier today at my featherweight. My leader and ender project is 2-inch cut squares, and it's taking over center stage. I cut a 2-inch strip off of every batik in my stash and then took 1 square of each for this project. What's so amazing about this? I have never done a completely scrappy quilt ever, she says. Controlled scrappy, yes, but never full on, just pick 2 pieces and sew them together, kind of scrappy. So liberating. I admit I've had to scold myself a few times when I catch myself looking and picking through the bin of twosies. Just need to sew, not analyze. That is a great, great lesson. She says, you are my inspiration for just letting go sometimes and embracing the random. Thanks for Quilt-Cam tonight. And so here's her bin of twosies, and she is just making 4 patches like a crazy fool and absolutely loving it. If I turn it this way, does it get bigger? There you go. Now we can see it. Happy batiks there in that bucket. I love it. Thank you for sharing that with us. You know, sometimes the simplest units are the best of all. In fact, I was looking at, we went to a Mexican place for lunch today. And on one wall, they had tiled the wall, and it looked like it was like a diagonal pattern. And the more I looked at these tiles and broke down that pattern, it was 4 patches. Really cool things come out of repeated simple units. Love it. This one, let's go on up the list here. Sheila in Wisconsin says, couldn't help but notice the tiny bits in your sashing. Could it be? Yes, it is. Green Bay Packers, baby. She says, where is that? See if I can find, I've got one with a helmet here. This is for you, Sheila. Can you see it? There it is. Is Green Bay Packer fabric a neutral? If the ground color is white, then yeah, I will use that as a neutral. It just adds so much interest. So yes, go Packers. That's for Sheila. That's for Andy too, if she's listening and watching. Okay, here's a message. Oh, my girlfriend Jill says, are you ready to party in Vegas? Yes, I am. We'll send her a message back. It's going to be stinking hot, but it's going to be so fun. So I will get there on Thursday. My flight gets in at 11 a.m., which means I am leaving here before dawn to get from the East Coast to Las Vegas. It's going to be a long day, but I'll get there at 11 a.m. and my friend Jill will pick me up. She's driving from San Diego, pick me up at the airport. We'll do lunch, then we'll go check into the hotel and get this retreat started. I can't wait. And we're going to do some shows, have plans for some shows on Friday and Saturday night. Then Sunday morning, I fly up to Idaho to spend some time with my mom and my family. And that's very much needed. I promised myself I need to visit my mom at least once a year, and I just don't get time to spend as much time as I want. So I will be there Sunday afternoon, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and fly home on Thursday. Okay. This one is from Dorothy, and she says, started this about 2 years ago, 5 rows sewn together, 1 block wrong, 4 more rows in progress, hope to finish tomorrow. I don't think that's 1 block wrong. I think that is just, I'm going to make this biggie here so you can see it. That's just 1 block different. Can you find it? 1 block different is not 1 block wrong. And I think it adds some interest and makes it very fun. Things that are all completely uniform, marching like straight little soldiers, all in a row, all nice and uniform, all the same, all identical. Boring. I love that one turned the other different way. Rhonda Newton says, Quilt-Cam. For the first time, I'm trying to piece while listening to Quilt-Cam. Fabulous. I'm working on half square triangles for Grand Illusion. I confess, I'm leaving part 2 for last. Rhonda, use part 2 as your leaders and enders. Get them part way done, then the rest of the job won't seem like such a big headache. Okay, we're going to press this one open here. Another thing I love about string piecing is the random widths of strips. Here I've got 3 really skinny things in the center and flanked by 2 wider ones on the outside. And the prints are just so different. I need to change my bobbin because we were just like random air sewing here. And I did think far enough ahead to have another bobbin wound just in case. Oops, dropped that one. Well, we can go fish for that later. What I love about this machine, it's a 227. It takes a class 15 bobbin. So it's a very large bobbin, and it holds oodles of thread. Unlike the bullet bobbins, which are really kind of fun, but you got to pedal like crazy just to fill those bobbins. And I like having these large class 15 bobbins ready to roll. Just got to remember which way to get this in here. Very, very simple machine to use. Snap that into place. Pull up the bobbin thread. This is the kind of machine that you wouldn't even really need a manual for if it weren't for knowing how and where to oil it. It's just so simple. Okay, now where did that one, you know what? Those 2 pieces that I sewed together in between the lines of whatever, they're down on the floor and they didn't get sewn together either. They just fell off the back and down into the abyss. We'll pick that up later. Here's a fun one. Dreidels. Hanukkah, anyone? Will we sew that on? Yes, it's a neutral. It can go right on here. It's perfect. I've had dreidels and Christmas and Halloween in the same, the same quilt. All right, now we're ready to sew this one back on here. Find which is the right side. So I like to overshoot my paper by a ½ inch in every direction. And that gives me room to trim things up. And then if something shifts, I've still got enough. Thread tail. By the time you cut this, you're not even going to know that dreidels are there, although it's really fun when people recognize that. What else have we got in here? I'm going to stir the bucket just a little bit. It's another skinny. Alternate skinny ones with wider ones, and some of them may slant or lean or tilt. They just add more fun. I love treadle time. If I could, I would do everything by treadle. It's just that much fun. Is this one long enough? No, and neither is this one. So we're going to sew these two together. We don't let the short ones get us down. We just sew them end to end and then sew them right on. What have we got in here that's fun? Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't play by that game. If you pull it out of a bag, you have to sew it on no matter what. Because sometimes I think we intuitively know that that would be better in a different spot. This one, this is pretty much on the line of hideous. It's little patchwork houses on scattered little paper bag brown. And it's going to go. Sometimes strips like this, I will look at the back side, but I think the front's just as good. I'm going to use that. Remember, by the time you get those ugly fabrics sewn in, you can hardly tell what they are anyway. If you're not sure what size to cut things, you know, inch and a half is always good. You'll only have an inch showing, and chances are if only an inch is showing, it's more about the color than it is about the design on the fabric. Okay, so this is that one that I sewed two lengths together, two pieces together, and it doesn't matter that they're not the same width. I just made them even on the top side. This seam I like to press open just because it's less bulky when I sew it on and then press it over. And we're going to save that for the other one because I've already got pink polka dot on this one. I can't wait to have this quilt done. We started it in what, February, March? It's taken a back seat to many, many things. Little houses, and now we'll use this piece, I think right at the top of the houses. So my friend Mona was over on Saturday. No, that was actually Friday night. They came over for burgers on the grill. And she was telling me all about the treadle machine that she bought. It needs a belt. It's a 66. So she needs the bobbin slide cover. We can do that. We can get her the belt. We can get it running. And I said, have you ever sat at a treadle machine? She said, no. I said, step right in here. And we came right into the living room, and I lifted off I have a treadle machine in an older cabinet, so it has the bread box cover. You know, you lift the bread box cover off. Some people like to call it a coffin top. I just don't. You lift the bonnet off, whatever. And I sat down and I showed her. I said, watch your feet. This one goes forward. Put one foot forward and the other one a little bit back, and then they counterbalance each other like a teeter-totter. And I showed her how to do a couple of seams, and then I sat her down. Okay, get the hand wheel going towards you. And she'd get it going towards herself, and she'd start to pedal. I said, nope, 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 it's going backwards. Get it going towards you. Well, how does it go backwards? I don't know. Just keep it going towards you. And we were laughing and having a great time. And then she was doing some pretty mighty fine seaming. So she's excited about her treadle, and I'm excited to have her excited about it, because that means more things we can do together. On Saturday, she came over just in the afternoon, and all we did was cut and talk and cut and talk and cut and laugh and cut and talk and snack on things and cut and talk. Nobody sewed anything. She was kitting up a project. I was kitting up a project. There was no sewing going on, just lots of cutting at two separate cutting tables. Okay, coming along. Let's check on in here. We're going to go all the way to the top, and I know that there's several of you that I will have missed. There are so many emails in my inbox right now. There's no way to get them all, and I'm just choosing randomly. If I've already answered you, chances are I will pick somebody answer the second time. So if you send another email, it may have to wait. This one's from Patty Bannister, who says, cutting tumblers and Quilt-Cam. This is my last finished project. My friend Peg is starting a new chapter in her life. So we are sending her off with love and hugs, stitched into a friendship quilt with all of our names. Today I finished piecing Grand Illusion Mystery. It's 81 by 114 inches. Yes, I'm from Texas. Thanks for Quilt-Cam, and that's Patty. So in other words, yes, things are bigger in Texas. And there's Patty. That's the wonder. Is that Patty or is that your friend? I don't know if that's you or if that's your friend, but the quilt is sure beautiful. It's a signature quilt with names. So I'm betting that that's the friend that they've made this quilt for. It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations on your Grand Illusion. That's wonderful. I know that's a really big accomplishment. Jackie Tucker says, Quilt-Cam, greetings from Southern California. Doing borders on a second Blue Ridge Beauty. It will be shipped to the same family I sent the big one to earlier. This one will be for my friend's little 5-year-old son. He loved her so much, she kept on finding it in his bed. Using tumblers as leaders and enders as I sew, with no rhyme or reason, I love having almost 1/3 of the top done, not to mention the 3-inch scraps I've used up. Thanks for Quilt-Cam. I really needed this tonight. And she says she likes her treadle too. And here she's got her tumblers coming together like nobody's business. They are so fast when you use them as leaders and enders. The rows just grow by themselves, and pretty soon you've used up all of these pieces and you have this fabulous quilt to show for it. I think that 2015, 2016, before the next leader ender comes out next July, is the year of the tumbler. It's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jackie. Beautiful photo. And Jessica Terrell says, Quilt-Cam fun. Enjoying sewing along with you tonight. From my picture, you'll see I'm working on Idaho square dance squares tonight, using various green prints for centers, but totally scrappy otherwise. Thanks for all you do. I saw your segment on the quilt show last year and have been a Quiltvillian ever since. Have a great time in Vegas. And she's from St. Cloud, Florida. How fun. I see her big Idaho square dance block, and there's me in the background. Awesome. You know, that quilt turned out so neat. I can't wait for you to see it. Pardon, dry throat. So those of you who actually take the courses, the online courses, will get a sneak preview of these 6 quilts that are going into the next book, because I show the quilts at the end of each episode. And the patterns for the quilts will be in the next book coming up soon. My manuscript has to be turned in by December 1st. Quilts go to photography November 1st. So this is how close we are to getting that book. But then, of course, it takes about 9 months after you send in everything for the book to go through editorial and artwork and photography and everything, and to pull it together. But we're looking for a release date of possibly September 2016. So it'll be ready for Quilt Market 2016. And Idaho Square Dance will be in there. I can't wait to show you what we've done with it. Great photo. Okay. Back here. This one's from, sometimes it just shows up as an email and I don't know your name. She says, it's from RBOMYEA2. Buckeye Express. Oh, is she in Ohio? Maybe. She says, this is the first time I've been able to catch you live. I'm not sewing tonight, for I'm visiting my granddaughter here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Probably from Ohio. However, this is what I left on my wall when I left home. Top 2 rows are now joined together. So she's got a beautiful North Winds quilt on her design wall at home. Look at all those scraps. If I turn it this way, can you see it better? There we go. Beautiful. Look at that. The top 2 rows are sewn together. Enjoy your time here in the beautiful state of North Carolina. So glad you could join us tonight. I absolutely love summer in the Carolinas. It's hot and it's sweaty and there's a lot of thunderstorms and I love those, and then they cool everything off and life is just wonderfully green here. Simone Mitchell says, thanks for Quilt-Cam. It's good to see someone sewing. Greetings from Melbourne, Australia. So good morning to you. She says, I'm still stitching up my shawl collar cardigan and enjoying some home time. I may try to quilt the denim rail fence quilt for my daughter on the treadle. Have you ever done this? Oh, my denim rails on the treadle, quilting. That's going to be one heavy quilt. So my suggestion would be do some spray basting if you can. You want this basted really, really well because you're going to be shoving a lot of stuff through the treadle machine. I know it can be done. I have not done it myself. That's just a heavy quilt. So you will definitely want to use a larger needle because you're sewing through all of those layers, with, especially the denim. But let me know how it goes. I'm pulling for you. Send pictures if you can. I would love to know how that goes. And that's Simone from Australia. Beth Culbertson says, Wild and Goosey. I just pieced the last Wild and Goosey unit needed for a king size quilt. So let's cheer. Yay! King size Wild and Goosey. You take the prize. That is absolutely awesome. She says, all scrappy, though it barely dented my scrap bins. You can see that I've already assembled some blocks with 2-inch sashing and cornerstones. Love at this first attempt at paper piecing for me. So she's got some blocks right there showing what she's doing with her Wild and Goosey units, and then some sashing. Absolutely beautiful. And this is one of the courses that I do on my sessions with Quiltmaker Magazine and Craft University Online. I talk about paper piecing Wild and Goosey, no frills method. I don't use a lot of special rulers and I don't use a lot of special techniques. My whole key is make it bigger than it needs to go. As long as it's bigger than where it's supposed to go, we can trim off the excess. And this is your scraps anyway, so do it. And it's wonderful. I love how precise paper piecing is. And I've always got some kind of paper piecing project going. I need to find another one because the scraps around here are not slowing down whatsoever. So we'll find another one and maybe share that with you as well. Thank you. King size. Wow. Inspired. Definitely inspired. Susan Erler says, Quilt-Cam, what I'm working on. I'm trying to pick fabrics for an orchidea. Been wanting to do this one since I first found you online about 2 years ago. I'm planning on doing this in fall spice colors, picture below. I'm still trying to get the right mix because I don't have many scraps. I have also been tumbling along with the leaders and enders, have about 300 3.5-inch tumblers set into rows. I'm making this as a large lap quilt and I'm going to give it to a retired Army vet in our neighborhood once it's done. Thanks for all you do. I've learned oodles from you. I love that word, oodles. And you have made me a much better piecer. And she's in Nashua. So let's see if I can get her picture. I can biggie size it maybe. But it won't turn sideways, will it? Yeah, it will. There she is. Okay, so she's got reds, looks like rusty reds and greens and neutrals and browns to black. I think it's going to be beautiful. The part that needs the most variety is whatever part that you're doing the string piecing with. So whatever color here is going to be the one that you do your string piecing with for the orchidea. That's the one that's going to need some more variety. So you may want to add just a few more pieces because it looks like you've got maybe 3 or 4 pieces of each there. And I think you can get by with that in the colors that are just regular, like for the pieced half square triangles or quarter square triangles or whatever's going on there. But the part that has the string piecing, if you want that to really show up, that's what's going to need the variety. So you may treat yourself to just a few more pieces to round that out. But other than that, I think you've got a good selection going, and I can't wait to see how it turns out in these colors. That's going to be beautiful. Nola, she says she's got a new dog. Doesn't she remind you of Sadie? Oh, I got to look. I'm packing for retreat, taking tumblers as well as Carolina Crossroads and Christmas lights. Still working my way through mysteries I missed. Loving it. Oh, she does look like Sadie. Little bit furrier. Sadie is a very short hair, but what a sweet face she's got there. Nola, what's her name? What's her name going to be? I just love it. How nice. And you're leaving on retreat, and you're going to leave your doggy home. Beautiful. Okay. So while I was in Iowa, I taught at 2 back-to-back retreats. Is this long enough to go across? No, not quite, but I've got a short piece I can add to it here. And these retreats were in really awesome buildings. You know how small town, old town areas have where the shop was on the bottom and then there would be like apartments above? Both of these retreat centers, they were over a half hour, maybe 40-minute drive apart, were in old downtown, small town, downtown type buildings. And the apartments upstairs are what were turned into the sleeping quarters for these retreat centers. So the main room on the ground floor was the huge area where the tables were set up for everybody to sew. But you go up the little stairs to the second level, and each of those apartments held several beds, had its own kitchen area and its own bathroom for those who were in that apartment area. So if you figure most of the apartments had a living room, a bedroom, a dining nook, and a kitchen, they'd have like a double bed in the dining nook, three singles in the bedroom, and 3 singles in the living room area. So maybe you're sleeping 6 to 7 people in an apartment, but it was just perfect. And all of the beds had quilts. Everything was decorated with antiques and crafts and just so super cute. And I was thinking, you know, what a neat thing that was to do. And in Iowa, they were saying, like, you came all this way to Iowa. What made you come all this way to Iowa? If you build it, we will come. We will come because it's different than where we are. So we had people coming from Canada. We had people coming, several came all the way from Texas. They didn't know each other and they all came separately. We had some from California and Nebraska and all over the United States. And the retreat facilities were just so unique and so wonderful. I'm now thinking, maybe when I retire, I would do a retreat thing. But somebody else would have to clean it, and somebody else is going to have to do the cooking because I don't do that stuff. But it was just really neat. So my ideas are flowing on what I want to do when I decide to stop traveling and stay home. Then you guys can come to me. And yes, I did have corn in Iowa. It's hard to think that I left Iowa only a week ago yesterday. It seems much longer than that already. It seems like a month ago because so much has happened in between. Okay, pressing that seam open. So you can see that I've added these 2 pieces together. This one was just a little bit short to reach across the page, so I added this short end to it. And now we will sew it on. treadling is just the most fun ever, but I can tell you what, you feel it. You feel it in the top of your legs. You feel it because you have to sit up straight to do it. You can't slouch and treadle. It just doesn't work. Okay. Excuse me. Fabric dust makes me sneeze. So this page is getting there. A few more pieces and we'll have this one covered. It only took an hour so far to get this far. No, I'm not the most productive on a Quilt-Cam night, but it sure makes it fun. Now here's another thing that's fun. And I know this is a vintagey piece. It's really thready though. Let's get the threads off. Threads happen. I love stuff like this. It's kind of a busy neutral. It's on a white ground. It has dark areas, and it's a vintage cotton. I'm not sure from what era, but I really like it. And I'm going to use it as a light. Yes, there's dark parts. That's okay. Your brain will still pick up the light areas, and it will be lighter than what it's going up against. So that's perfect for there. Sometimes I get emails. I like your sashings, but why did you put that one in there? It looks too dark. Nope, you got to have variety. You can't use all the same shade of cream. You just can't. It would be boring. You got to throw things in that are interesting. And my excuse and my reasoning has become lately, oh, just personal preference. If you just say, oh, it's just personal preference, then that'll satisfy their need to know why. Why did you put that in there? Because I can. I think I can add a piece of something lighter to this one. It's looking kind of dark. I've got dark at both ends. We'll put some of this. Alrighty. The legs are warm. I am treadling these faster than I normally would be, just because it's boring to watch this sew through the machine for you. I know it is. Let's see, are these even? So here's something that I can do. These two pieces are sewn together, but they're not attached to anything. So I'm going to press. This must have been left from another project. So I'm going to press it open and then sew it on as one. It's a bottomless string bucket, and we just never know what we're going to find in it. So I've got these two pieces that are sewn together, and I'm just going to add them right here. So you can see on this one, there are a lot of fabrics that have other colors going on in them. This one here had like little ladybugs and little fun stuff in little blocks. You can't hardly tell what it is, but there's little pops of color. I love the little pops of color in this floral piece right here. And the blue and gold in the dreidels is really fun. There's some green leaves going on here. Yet the background color of each of these fabrics is neutral, so they do classify as a neutral for me. I love explaining my ideas of neutrals to others. So that's another thing that we really went over in the online workshops with Quiltmaker. I brought several different strips and went through them, and here's ones that everybody would have a easy time determining, yes, this is a neutral, this is a neutral, it's a white on white, it's a cream on cream, it has, you know, little beige speckles, it's very tonal, this is a neutral. But what if we do these? Would you consider this a neutral? this is, this is, this is. And then I even had a segment where these are some I would find hard to use, even though technically, yes, they could work as a neutral, but it depends on how big you cut your pieces, how small you cut your pieces, and what it's going to end up next to. So sometimes I have fabrics that are undetermined, undecided, and it depends where they're actually going to be in the quilt, whether that'll work as a neutral or not. So that's just another fun thing we did. Here's another one that's really kind of fun. It's got a lot of it looks like a potpourri thing. It's got berries, leaves, all kinds of stuff, but it's definitely on a neutral ground. Will I use it as a neutral? Yes. If you think it's too busy, this is another great one. Use the back side. You can just barely see a little bit of pattern coming through on the back side if you think that the front is too busy. And my rule is if I'm going to use busy thing in the front, then I have to have several other busy things to balance it out. So I'm not having just all tonal and then pow, here's this one big busy thing. I like that one though. That one's been around a long time. It's fun to see these old favorites come out of the string bucket to play. One more, then we'll take some more emails. This is like, what did you do tonight, honey? I treadled some and I talked a lot. Okay. That worked really slick. This was the one that had the two pieces that were already sewn together, sewn on. One more strip, that one will be done. And then I'll only have 3 more pages to go. I tore out the pages that I needed and set them right here so that I don't have to recount this. I just watch this pile go down. And when I know this pile is gone, then it's time to lay this quilt out and put it together. Okay. Yvette Gillespie, she says, hello from Perth. So Perth, Australia is online with us today. She says, can't join you for live Quilt-Cam today, but I thought I would share my tumbler quilt top that was mostly assembled as leaders and enders for the end of the Farmer's Wife assembly. It is made of the stacks of 3.5-inch tumblers using a 10-degree wedge ruler. I love it, she says, exclamation point, exclamation point. That's how we know they really love it. So she's got her photo right here, and she did dark tumblers around the last 2 rows. And I think that's very effective. Dark tumblers, the last 2 rows, kind of makes a border around it. I think that's very fun. So this is from Yvette in Perth, Australia. Thank you for sharing that. I love the autumn tones that you've got in here. Really fun. A lot of motion in that. It almost looks woven, the way that the lights and the darks are. I really like that. I'm going to save this photo for inspiration. Beautiful. Rebecca Davidson says, just sharing what working on tonight during Quilt-Cam, binding this quilt that was made using a friend's scraps and my own border. Perfect. So she's got a Simply Strippy going on in there. Long before there was a jelly roll race, somewhere around 2005 or before, I uploaded a free pattern to the free patterns tab at the top of the blog, and it's called Simply Strippy, and it looks a lot like the jelly roll race, only it's made with 3.5-inch strips, and it's before that jelly roll race was invented. So you can use any strip width, use those scraps, and make a Simply Strippy of your own. That is just absolutely gorgeous, and the border's perfect. Your friend's going to love it. Love it. Great job. Anne Barrett says, insomniac in UK. She says, Anne from Norfolk, UK here. I'm not doing any sewing at 3 a.m. here in England. I just can't sleep. It's because she knew that Quilt-Cam was on. She says, I'm waiting to go into hospital, oh no, to have my right knee replaced, and it's hurting. No sleep for me tonight. You are just what I needed to take my mind off of it. Hope you are well. And that's from Anne Barrett. Anne, I hope that you can find some relief for that. Maybe some ice, or maybe, I don't know, hot cocoa. Chocolate always seems to work. I'm glad that we are able to be the placebo effect for you for just a little bit. Good luck on your knee surgery. I hope it's soon so that you can start to heal and get back to doing what you love best. So that's our UK friend with us tonight. And we've got Nancy Johnson who says, Quilt-Cam, love Quilt-Cam in your blog. I'm working on a Halloween spiderweb quilt. I like sewing on the paper. No points to match, random strips of fabric, and it's fast. So there's 3 more reasons why we love paper piecing. No points to match, random strips of fabric, and it's fast. 3 great reasons. So she's got her photo here. Let's turn this here so that you can see. Oh, she looks like she's also sewing on a wonderful blue and white vintage machine. Not sure what model it is, but I know these machines are just real keepers and power horses. So there's her spiderweb blocks. It's not too far away to start thinking about what to do for fall and for Halloween, right around the corner. Do you like to decorate for each season? Maybe you've got favorite fall quilts that are begging to come out. Maybe you decide to do this like right after Labor Day. That's it, it's fall. And that's kind of how I am. I get into fall mood as soon as September hits. And then pretty soon we start hearing those school buses rumbling up our street early in the morning, letting us know that, yeah, school's back in session, and it's definitely fall. Okay, that was Nancy in Arizona. Julianne says, it's crazy, Julianne from Northern California, watching you on my phone while at work. Shh, 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 she says, glad to hear that you made it through your tapings with flying colors. I started a tumbler quilt as a leader and ender project. Ha! I have almost 2 quilt tops complete. I'm not so great at the leader ender concept. Maybe next time. Nice to see you here on Quilt-Cam. Keep on quilting. So Julianne, if you're using a pair of tumblers to follow another pair of tumblers, and you are always snipping off from behind your presser foot, leaving 1 pair underneath the presser foot, that is leader and endering. As long as you're not leaving long thread tails and you are chasing 1 pair with another and joining them into rows as you go, that's still leader and endering, so you still get a free pass. Mine, well, I am doing them the traditional way, and since I am working with 2 pieces of paper foundation piecing, I'm not sewing tumblers right now, but I will get back to those on the next project, possibly when definitely when I'm sewing this quilt together, lay out my blocks, put the sashings and cornerstones together, I'll be using my tumblers like nobody's business then. Vicky says, I'm trying to remember the questions you asked while reading my email on Quilt-Cam. I'm keeping track in my brain to prevent duplicates. Okay, so this is for the 1.5-inch postage stamp quilt we asked about at the beginning. She says, I have found 1 set of duplicates, but I am okay if I end up with less than 1% duplicates in the whole quilt. So you can just say, yeah, I'll pay you a quarter if you find the duplicates, and then they'll be looking forever. You know, tell your grandkids, find 2 the same. It's like match game, find 2 the same, and I'll pay you a quarter. They'd love it. Keep them busy for hours. She says, I'm sewing 4 patches, and then into 8 patches, and then into 16 patches, and now 32 patches. Then I will sew those blocks together in rows. Okay, wonderful. Glad to know how that's going. Marquet says, sewing square in a square blocks with you tonight, and she's got pictures here of how they're going. She says, I received my tumbler template in the mail, and I didn't get home in time to get any cut up, so tumblers are going to be on her agenda. She says, here are 2 pictures of my new templates and of my squares, but the bottom right I am not going to use because it looks weird with 2 different kinds of fabric. Okay, yeah, you're right. The square and a square on the bottom, what I see is a dark diagonal. So I'm going to pop up 1 picture here so that you can see the square and the squares that she's working on. Those look really nice. But there's 1 in the bottom corner where she's got 2 red corners and 2 yellow corners. And what's happened there is that the value of dark goes corner to corner down the center of the block, and it's light on the opposite corners. So it just gives you a different look. If the whole entire quilt was that way, I think you could get away with it, but I kind of like the other ones. So I'm with you. Leave that one out. Use it as your label for the back. That's great, Marquet. Glad to have you join us tonight. Kelly Venter says, ooh, she didn't say anything. She just sent a photo. We're supposed to guess. Kelly, I love your machine. Looks like she's making tumblers and little tiny houses on a very, it's either blue or green or maybe teal vintage machine there. Class 15. Not sure what brand. Beautiful. can't read it, but it's beautiful. Looks like a 1950s Japanese import maybe. Love it. And we love how these machines fit in a cabinet so that we can just sew on a really nice flat surface. Beautiful. Okay. One more here. Sherry Walker, What I'm Doing. And she's doing spools. Awesome. So here's all her spool and around blocks right there on her design wall. Lots of fun with little scraps and little pieces. The most fun I have had in cutting up the tumblers and when we did the spools and when we did the bow ties and things like that was when it was time to clear up my cutting table. Taking any of the little scraps that instead of putting them away or putting them in a box or a bin or a bag or whatever, that I could just spend some time and cut block parts out of these little scraps, have them purposed, have them gone, have them have a place to go. And that's how all of these tumbler pieces got cut. I went through some of my squares. I started clearing off my cutting table. Any small scraps that I could get 1, 2, or 3 or 4 tumblers out of without too many repeats. That's what I did. And it's amazing how quickly this box adds up and how fun it is to dig through and sew those together. I'm going to add one more strip here. Is this one not big enough? But if I add this piece to it, okay, we can make this strip big enough with these 2 pieces. So I leave Thursday for Vegas, and then I go to Idaho Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm home Thursday again, and then we'll be back to the cabin for the weekend. So I'm thinking that that following week we'll be able to do another Quilt-Cam. So that will be about 2 weeks from today would be a good time to do another Quilt-Cam. So be watching the blog. I will post it usually 2, 3, or even 4 days ahead of time. I'll start telling you, okay, we're going to do it here. Okay, we're going to do it here. We're going to do it here so that you have a greater chance of catching us live. Of course, if you miss it, it's always in the Quilt-Cam archive at the top of the blog. But if you like live cam, it's live, it's real, it's no frills, we are what we are, then watch the blog and I'll tell you. But I think I'm shooting for Tuesday because that's an evening that the hubby has tennis and it's a good night for me to do this. And here's some more short pieces. You may join those end to end too. Yeah, don't let the short pieces stop you. Just join them end to end. We use up every bit of this fabric, every inch. Okay, and this is the last piece to go on this piece of fabric, or this piece of paper. It takes a lot more time to do sashings for a quilt this way, but boy, is it fun to look at that quilt when it's done. Plain sashings are nice. String sashings, they rock. Okay, so then this piece, I think I can put it right up here. Do you remember what I said my Fitbit was at when we first started? I was at 10,300 and something, or 200 and something or something, but I was over 10,000 steps today. So we're going to look at my foot. I'm going to take that Fitbit off my shoe because they said that 15 minutes of treadling is like walking a mile or something. So at least I will find this article because my friend Allison sent it to me. Okay. So this is how far this piece is going to go. What I will do is trim off the 2 short sides and 1 side section here so that these 2 corners are square. I don't worry about this end because I'll trim down to there when I get there. Once this is square, then I'll cut my 3 sashing pieces, and then I'll be able to get one more skinny strip off of the end. And I've made good use of all of this otherwise undesirable fabric bits and made it really, really fun. Let's look at that Fitbit. You ready? 11,130 steps. So I gained about 1,000 steps in the past hour just by putting this on my shoe and working my legs while I treadle. Do I consider this cheating? No, because to me it's no different than riding a stationary bike. Remember those recumbent bikes where you do this? This is probably just as much effort as a recumbent bike. And I'm happy. It's motion. I've been burning calories. I've been sewing really fun block parts. I've been chatting with you, and we've had a good evening. So I'm happy with what I've done today. It says about 5 1/3 miles I've done today. So I'm happy for that. Let's take a couple more, and then I think it's time to sign off. I'm tired. It's been a good night. Okay, so this one is from Jane, and she says, thanks for the helpful hints. I currently have a question on my APQS Ultimate. I would like to add a stitch regulator. I understand you had the same machine at one time, or still do, and you had this done. She says, Kelly Jones from Ye Old Forest recommended I contact you that you may have done this to your machine. And yes, I did, and who did it for me was Zoltan from Intellis, I think it's IntelliStitch, did it for me. He came in and put in the stitch regulator, and what else did he do for me? Laser light and stuff like that. So and it's IntelliStitch or IntelliQuilter, something like that. You can do a Google search for that, and they came right out to my studio and did that for me, and it was a really nice addition to my machine, and it lasted me for many, many years until I upgraded to this one about 6 years ago. Hope that helps you, and I will see if I can find that link to you and email it to you later. Okay, and then this one is for, let's see, Kathy Dale says Tubalo Trail, and she's got it done, finally finished, my favorite of all times. No sashing, never again. She loved how it looked with no sashing, and I do too. But then she had to pin to match each point, and she was cursing as she went, and she says, now I know why you did sashing, now I know why you did sashing. But it's beautiful, Kathy, I love it, and it's gorgeous, and look at all those fun scraps. It's beautiful. Next time, do the sashing. I love it. It's just wonderful. Well, everybody, I want to thank you for joining me here tonight in Quiltville land, where my studio is your studio, and I love keeping it open for you, and we can do this as often as we can. We'll look forward to seeing you in about 2 weeks when I get back from teaching in Vegas and a trip up to visit my family in Idaho, and we'll hopefully have these sashings done by then, and we'll be putting this quilt top together. I look forward to seeing any pictures you want to share, any stories you want to share. Of course, you can keep up with my doings by following my blog at quiltville.blogspot.com. If you are on Facebook, you will find my 2 groups there on my regular Facebook page. If you search for Quiltville in the search box, you'll find Quiltville Friends, which is where I post my own stuff. And then Quiltville's Open Studio is our online group, and it's open 24/7, 365 for you to share your projects, ask questions, get to know our other members, and it's a very interactive and very fun group to hang with. So check those 2 out. If you're on Instagram, you will find me at Quiltville_Bonnie. And I post all kinds of stuff to Instagram as well. One of the things I really love about Instagram is anybody that you subscribe to shows up in your newsfeed. On Facebook, I have almost 69,000 likes for my Quiltville Friends page, and posts usually only show up to about 10% of that. So even if you've liked my page, you may not be seeing me in your newsfeed, which means you need to come to the page to catch what you've missed. So what I tell people to do is to bookmark my page as your entrance point to Facebook. From there, you can easily click your name and go to your own page. But if you click to enter my page first, you'll never miss anything. You'll always know when giveaways are. You'll always know what's going on around here in Quiltville and on the road, and you will never miss a Quilt-Cam notice ever again. Have a good evening, everybody. If it's still early where you are, don't stop now. If you've got some energy left, keep going. Put in a few more stitches, sort a few more pieces, cut some more pieces, knit a little, stitch a little. Enjoy your evening, and I'll catch you next time from Quiltville. Bye, everybody.